their own, then that's their decision. The goal, here's the goal. Here's the I figured this out. I used to think about this when I was trying to figure out how to not work for the white man anymore. Um, I realized, I said, the only thing keeping me away from freedom is really about $3,000 a month. I said, if I could figure out how to make $3,000 a month, then I could stay home every day. That was literally my logic, you know. And I said, they got people out here making millions of dollars every year. I can make $3,000 a month. I can find $3,000 a month. And I started very small like that. Literally, that was what used to go through my head, because I was like, okay, my rent at the time, because I was still paying rent, was about $1,200 a month on my not condo but townhouse. Car note was maybe, let's say car note was 500. Um, Wi-Fi, food, utilities, all that, Wi-Fi, everything was another three. So you had 1,200 plus 800, that's 2,000. And then let's say there's an extra 1,000 in there for food and everything else. And I realized that, I thought about it. I said, I could actually be free, like free for the rest of my life, if I can find some way to make $3,000 a month. Now, maybe I'll make 10,000 a month. Maybe I'll make 100,000 a month. That would be great. But right now, I just got to figure out how to make three. And when you process it that way, and you think about how much stress people go through in their jobs, and how unhappy they are in their lives, people die early because of the stress that happens at work. And you realize the only thing standing between you and freedom was maybe $2,000 or $3,000 a month. That's pretty heavy. And my late grandmother, rest her soul, we named our Black Panther after her. Her name was Felicia. She taught me about economics for the first time. She never had a college degree, raised five kids by herself, never made more than $20,000 a year, but was always the most financially fit person in the family, like perfect credit, all debts paid off, like funeral arrangements down to the T. Like, I mean, everything's perfect. And anyway, one thing that she said to me that really got to me was she said, Coco, that's my nickname. She said, you never want to go through life working at a job that you hate. Do not spend your whole life working at a job that you hate. And that really stuck with me. So, so in terms of the freedom, think of it like that. Try not to build um, too many expectations for yourself in the beginning. Just solve the little problems, and then you'll eventually solve the big ones. So in terms of putting the business in your daughter's name, I encourage you to talk to your kids about business regularly in casual conversation. Talk to them. Remember, you're training you're training your kids. So train them. In my view, I believe in training your kids to where you don't even talk about getting a job. You talk about things like happiness and being financially secure and owning assets. Like, we don't talk to our kids about jobs. We really don't. Alicia is a little bit of a hippie. She's the hippie between the two of us. She's has like, she's like a moon child, flower child type person. So it's, she's into metaphysics. And so her whole office is feng shuied out. So she's really into like being happy and finding your passion, which is fine. And I'm the guy who says, well, you need money in order to pursue your passion. So the kids get a nice balance. So we'll talk to them about like, okay, what do you like to do? Who are you? Right. And then we say, okay, well, so I'll step in and I'll say, well, there's a whole industry around that. Like our 10-year-old loves to dance, and she does TikTok videos all day long. Like that, she's really good at it. And I watch how she edits the videos. She's very quick with the whole editing procedure stuff. I don't understand. Like, she knows how to naturally edit video. And I said, well, you know that there are filmmakers who do what you do. There's Tyler Perry who makes all these movies, where he, is doing exactly what you're doing. And he has a passion for performing just like you do. When I met Ice Cube, I had her talk to Ice Cube, and I said, yeah, he makes movies just like you. She doesn't know anything about gangster rap and NWA. She only knows, yeah, I think he's the guy that makes the family movies. So maybe, obviously most of us can't introduce our kids to Ice Cube, but I'm just using that as an example. But you can point to him. You can point to whatever it is that is, that sort of aligns with your child's interests. And if you observe them, you'll see what they're good at and what they enjoy. So our 17-year-old enjoys video games, but he wants to be an engineer, a mechanical engineer. And I said, why do engineering is tough. Engineering's hard and it's boring. I said, so, make sure you want to do it. I said, but what I see that you really love video games. Why not, go into video game? Why not? I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. You can get, if you want a job in that industry, you can get a job in the industry. If you want to build a business in the industry, you can do that. Why are you walking away from the thing that you love to go to work? Well, because we're not used to. It's weird. It's almost like we're not used to thinking about work as something that we're supposed to actually enjoy, right? So I personally think you might want to reframe that, and just with your kids. So I think if they are interested in starting a business, definitely support them, make it fun, and then at that point they're going to kind of take over and start doing what they want to do, and then they'll start coming up with their own ideas. Like the 10-year-old the other day said something to me, like she said, yeah, when I'm 16, I don't think I want to go to college. She doesn't know, like, her mother's going to make her go to college, and I probably will too, because I think college is a good thing. Just don't go too deep in debt. But she's like, I don't think I want to go to college. I want to start a business, and I want to have a clothing line and a makeup brand and blah blah blah. And I just kind of listen. You just let it flow out, and then you guide them in that direction. Okay. So as far as who you put the business, whose name you put the business in, you remember, I mean, you're the guardian, right? So ultimately, everything still comes back to you. But why not put it in their name? I mean, that's a self-esteem booster, also, right? I mean, when kids see stuff like when I was 10, I think my grandmother got me a little book. Well, this is way back in the day before digital stuff and all that. She got me this little book where somebody had written a little fairy tale, and I was one of the characters in the fairy tale, and I thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So when you're building that business with your child and you put your child's name on it, that you're kind of doing the same thing. All those things are good for their self-esteem, all of it. And just in case you guys didn't know, blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com, that's where our kids program is. That's where our Black Business School for Children is located. So feel free to go there to blackmillionairesoftomorrow.com. Okay, Earn Your Leisure is interesting. What is your take on this learning platform? Oh, I love Earn Your Leisure. I think those guys are great. I see it as they have their style, and we're all working together to do what the Black community needs, which I think the Black community should take over the whole educational industry. I think Black people should be educated by Black people. I don't think white people do us. I think they do us a huge disservice. It doesn't. I'm not anti-white on that. What I'm saying is, you start in public school where you're not even taught about people like Marcus Garvey. They tell you that Louis Farrakhan's too dangerous for your children to know about him. They say nothing about people like Dr. Claude Anderson and others. I mean, they literally find the people that love you the most and tell you that they're your worst enemies. And then they find the people that hate you, that maybe enslaved your ancestors, and teach you how to make those people into your heroes. So that's a terrible, terrible way to raise anybody if you're trying to actually make them happy and liberated. So my theory on it is, when I see Earn Your Leisure, and I see a lot of people, out here teaching, from Julian Gordon to who came in here, Lene Javette and others, and I just think it's great. I think that we should have 1,000 Black platforms that are educating Black people and giving Black people what they need. And I'm actually partnering a lot with Maurice Green, who's the head of the Black Doctoral Network, which has thousands and thousands of PhDs in it. Alicia's in the organization. A lot of people are in it. And I told him, I said, I want those Black PhDs to reconnect to the Black community so that they can all, so we can start building these institutions. White people built universities. Why can't we? So there you go. Let's see here. Okay, see, James said, check your nose. Something's hanging out. It's probably hair. I don't think it's a booger or anything. But then again, if it's a booger, then I apologize. Let me know. I hope I'm not offending anybody. Let's see, am I good? No, maybe I'm not. Okay, anyway. Well, I did my best. All right, so let's see here. Anthony Alexander, how do you feel about investing in SPACs? Good or too risky? I hate SPACs. SPACs are overpriced. And SPACs got spanked today, this week. SPACs were at the top of the list of overpaying for assets, because SPACs, they were all competing for this alleged easy money. And maybe it'll become easy money again after this is over with. But a lot of people are being traumatized right now. I mean, when you see 40% of your stock disappear on you, that's going to change your perspective. So I'm going to just tell you, I think that SPACs, SPACs, experts never liked SPACs. They were always like, oh, these are overpriced. This is when people are just throwing money at anything. And now they're learning a lesson. They're learning that the market can go down as well as up. When the Reddit guys drove the stock price of Tilray up and my investment doubled, should I have sold a portion at that time? Yeah, because at that time I would have told you, and I think I did do a quick video on it. Tilray was overpriced. Like, Tilray to me is a solid $25, $30 asset. That's a cannabis company out of Canada. I never saw, when Tilray hit 72, I said, Lord have mercy, this is insane. Like, this is a pump and dump. And they'll pump the price up. All of those guys get off the boat before it crashes. The poor suckers who lose are the ones who buy in late. thinking that it's going to go up to 500 or 600. So if you're watching Reddit and they say, oh yeah, we're going to take it all the way up to 1,000, dude, and you see, okay, the price went up from 30 to 250, but it's going to 1,000, and I don't want to miss out. Let me go ahead and buy in at 250. Well, that's a bad move because all the experts are already shorting that stock. They're getting out. They're getting off the train because they know that the train's going to blow up. Let's see here. Dwayne, hey, Dr. Boyce, so you're extremely busy in building and designing the Black Business School and other aspects of Black media. Have you ever considered locating and hiring other Black finance and MBA professors? Yes, we do. We have people that we hire. We're hiring more. We're going to keep hiring more. So if you're on the email list, I'll let you know. Would you do a program on investing in private companies and buying and investing in warrants? Okay, that's good. A good thought. I'm gonna think on that. Let's see here. This will be especially useful in buying gold and silver. Okay, thanks, Dwayne. I appreciate those thoughts. And yes, you're right. We actually pay our professors more than they make their jobs at universities, actually. So we're really proud of that. And I just really think that the Black community should be our top priority. Like, that's where you should teach first. Even when you talk about teaching at HBCUs, that's still not enough in some cases, because when I interviewed at Howard University, I interviewed with a Chinese guy. There was a Chinese guy deciding if I was going to be good enough for their Black students, which I thought was kind of appalling, to be honest with you. But, it's kind of just what it is. I personally think Black people should educate Black people first. And then if there's other people that come in, I'm not saying that we have to be discriminatory. I'm just saying that, we have a specific cultural mandate and a set of needs and expectations and challenges that nobody's addressing. And so what it's going to take is all hands on deck, and we have to address it ourselves, to address it in our families, and specifically make sure that our energy is being allocated in the right direction. Because if you don't, then what happens is it gets diluted. Like, you have enough Black brain power out here to solve almost all the problems in the Black community. The problem is all the Black brain power is distracted. All your favorite Black people, all your most intelligent Black people are teaching at big white universities. And they're writing these research papers nobody's ever going to read. They're stressed out because all their white faculty are treating them like they're second-class citizens. And it's a terrible situation all the way around. So my vision of the future would be one where, we have Black-owned institutions that Black scholars can go to and be supported and treated well. And they can also have support from the community. So Black families, when their child turns 18, they're sending their children to these schools to be educated. And I like the Black business schools right there. In fact, we're actually reaching out right now and connecting with a group called the Black Achievers out of Louisville, Kentucky. They gave me my first scholarship. And I told them that I said I want to be a title sponsor, which means that once we sponsor and we give them, a few $1,000, we will go there, and I'm going to go there and speak, and I'm going to give all the students in the Black Achievers access to the Black Business School, and really start sort of pushing that agenda and kind of say, your people are the best ones at educating you, and you got to kind of be not afraid to say that. So let me see here. Fred Woodard, I own 54 stocks through Cash App. Is that too many? What's the best way to manage 54 stocks? I don't think 54 is too many. I think that 54 might be enough, right? So maybe now you just start allocating more funds toward the stocks you already own. Remember that if you buy into a mutual fund, you might own hundreds of stocks that you don't even know about. So I don't really think 54 is too many. I think you maybe just think about what your goal is. Some people have a specific goal when they want to be tied to a specific industry or a specific risk level. And then some people just look for stocks that are, perceived by the analysts to be undervalued, or companies that are just going to be strong long-term, or industries that are growing and emerging. So a few of my hard and fast rules, for example, I don't like stocks that have low yield, that aren't going to do much. I like stocks that are going to wiggle and grow potentially. I also don't like stocks in industries like oil. I don't really know exactly how that industry is going to evolve, because we're obviously headed in the direction where oil is going to be old school. It's not going to be it's not the energy of the future. Oil represents the past. So I don't invest in companies like Exxon and stuff like that. So there we go. Let's see. I bought Bitcoin last week. How do I move it to Edge Wallet? What's the purpose of a wallet? Okay. Well, I don't know anything about Edge Wallet. I don't know that part. You'd have to consult with a crypto expert on that one. But the purpose of a wallet is to keep your crypto, and you can actually have a wallet that's detached from the internet completely, where you have your keys, your private key, and everything else. And the thing is about it is that once you do that, you better make sure you don't lose your keys, because if you do, then your crypto is lost forever. Nobody can ever go get it. There's one guy that lost over $200 million worth of Bitcoin, and he can't get it back. And he's trying his best, but he can't get it. Let's see, Myra. To read charts, I would have to take a master stock class, right? Yeah. I don't do much in terms of chart reading, and the reason I don't is honestly because I don't believe in it. It doesn't mean I don't think there couldn't be value there, but when you're talking about looking at technical analysis and and kind of trying to predict the dips and the rises based on hitting these technical thresholds, I was not trained in a way where we believe in technical analysis. We believe more in fundamental analysis, like what's the fundamental value of this company, not the technicals. But there's some validity to technical analysis in the sense that there are these reversals. The market tends to overreact on a weekly, monthly, and daily basis. So if it goes really, really high one day, odds are it's going to dip a little bit the next day. If it goes really, really down one day, odds are it's going to come back. And a lot of that's due to just simple, basic fundamentals of how the market operates. Like, for example, when prices start plummeting, and I believe this came into play with these tech stocks, these high growth tech stocks, very risky companies. When the prices start plummeting, then people's margin calls start popping up, meaning that they've bought these companies, they've taken maximum risk. They didn't just buy the riskiest companies, but they borrowed money to buy those companies. So when your equity value drops to a certain point, the broker says, yo, look, you got to put some money in your account, either put cash up or sell some stock. Well, a lot of people don't have the cash because they've been living on the edge and they think everything's going to go up and they're trying to get these easy flips. So instead of putting cash up, they start selling. So more selling breeds more selling, which breeds more of a price decline. So you end up having these sort of cascading effects that take place. And also just from an emotional standpoint, when people get scared, they're not rational and they're just sell, sell, sell. So that's why these reversals happen, because people sometimes overreact to information as opposed to taking the time to actually process it. Let's see here. Joyce, is there a special system help program to manage the portfolio? Well, there's the Black Stock Market Program, which I cover a lot of that stuff in terms of managing your portfolio. I think one of my big philosophies is I don't want you to overthink it. Like I want you to get started, and then I want you to learn while you're doing it. I don't want you to wait until you feel like you've learned everything and then do it, because you're never going to learn anything. You're never going to feel like you know everything. I keep referencing that study by Burton Malkiel in 1971, where he basically showed that monkeys can invest in the stock market. That literally monkeys, untrained monkeys, didn't go to college, not special monkeys, just average monkeys, can actually invest and make more money than a person who doesn't invest. If you want to know my number one piece of advice when it comes to investing in the stock market is be smarter than a monkey. Get in the game. Don't sit on the sidelines, because then that monkey is outperforming you economically, and that's just not good, because y'all smarter than monkeys. We know that. Victor, greetings, Dr. Watkins. Can you please explain how do you borrow against your own crypto money and not pay taxes? Well, everybody pays taxes. If you make money, you got to pay your taxes. If you're looking for tax advice, you want to talk to a tax expert. I'm not a tax expert, and I'm not going to even tell you how to avoid taxes, just because that, I don't want you to get in trouble. You got to pay the IRS, and and if you make money, talk to your accountant. Make sure your accountant is doing everything and filing everything and reporting everything. You want to literally confess everything financially to the IRS. You just don't want to get into stupid situations. So with that said, borrowing against your own crypto, I know Coinbase has something like that. I think the whole DeFi market is all about that. It's about letting people borrow against their crypto so they don't have to sell it. So I know in Coinbase they do have an option where you can borrow, but I think there are other platforms. I can't remember some of the other ones, but is it Monero or Kraken? But some of the other platforms will let you borrow against your crypto. So yeah, you can borrow against it. So that is an option. Rico, I posed a question a couple weeks ago, but I think it may not have been clear. I was asking your thoughts on, should you add your minor child as a user on your credit card? I guess you could. I know with our 17-year-old though, we got him his own little bank account, and there's a debit card that came with it. So that's what allowed him to, do stuff. What I meant was adding your child to your credit card that's in good standing in order to start building their credit before they can apply for their own. I don't know if that builds credit per se, though. I don't know if simply adding that person to the card will build their credit. But if you build your credit, building the credit, what comes down to having a track record of borrowing money and paying it back, paying your bills on time, not having too much debt, And so maybe some sort of loan might be beneficial, but I don't know if I'm a fan of taking out loans just to build credit. I think it happens naturally if you're just economically responsible. Let's see here. Danette says, yes, it will help your children's credit if you add them to your credit card. Okay, I'm going to have to look in on that. So Danette said, yes, it does. And a few of you are saying, yes, it does. So we can go with that. I've not heard that in particular, but I can imagine that it wouldn't hurt, right? And I don't see why not, as long as you restrict their usage of the credit card. So I guess the answer is yes. Let's see. Of course, you shouldn't let your minor know that they have access to your credit card. Yeah. Well, our teenager orders like Uber Eats and stuff. So we see orders for Uber Eats at 2:00 in the morning, then we know it's him. Let's see. Pamela says, hasn't the Black church taken on this task? You mean what? Educating Black people? I think they have, but they and that's one option, right? I don't know if that's the final option, but I know the Black church has come through for Black people in a lot of areas. So I'm a big fan of the Black church. Good churches that are run by good people. I support that 100%. Linda Bolton, what do you think about AMC stock and JetBlue? I like AMC. I think AMC and JetBlue are what they call recovery stocks. So airlines and movie theaters, anything that involves human beings coming together is a recovery play. Everybody's aiming for the recovery play. So these stocks are probably already moved. I wouldn't be surprised if both of these companies are doing pretty well right now. Let me see. Let me see where AMC is relative to where it was when they did the pump and dump. Let me see. AMC stock. Okay, it went down a little bit today. Okay. So it's about 803, which is higher than the lows that it hit maybe a month ago. A month ago, it was between $5 and $6 a share. So it's up to 8. I would buy AMC at 8. I really would. Yeah, I like the company, and I obviously I can see them exceeding their earnings announcement after the reopen occurs. So I like AMC, but I don't know enough about the details of how they make their deals with the the production companies. I don't know enough about that, but I like AMC as a buy. Let's see. Are you predicting that Tilray is going to crash? Asked Joan Lloyd. No, I'm not. I own Tilray, so hope it doesn't crash. But I sell the options on Tilray every week, and just in case it does, and I have put options and all that stuff in place. Linda Bolton, in reference to crypto, what do you think about Ethereum and Bitcoin investments long term? I think they're great investments. I love Ethereum and Bitcoin. This is not investment advice, but I am a big investor in Ethereum and Bitcoin. What do you think about buying physical gold as opposed to gold stocks? I don't want to buy physical gold. Doesn't, not just, maybe if there's some sort of zombie apocalypse and gold is important, then maybe, but I wouldn't, I'm not going to buy it. Let's see. Myra, do you know the ticker for a 5G stock in an ETF for cannabis? If you Google search cannabis ETFs, there's plenty out there. Or if you even go to your Robinhood app and type in cannabis, you'll find some stuff. The big cannabis companies I know about are Tilray and Afria, but I don't know the names of any ETFs, but they do exist and you can find them. And 5G stocks, I think that my 5G play was Verizon. And I think that worked out pretty good. I got to check my Verizon stock. I'm a long-term investor, but I invested a lot in Verizon. And I think even in T-Mobile. I think I might have invested in them as well. Let's see, James, are you going to teach us how to read balance sheets? No, that is beyond the scope of this class. I really am not a big fan of reading balance sheets in order to understand what stocks to pick. Because remember, the analysts are already reading the balance sheets for you. And if you read the balance sheet, what the balance sheet will tell you is the key ratios like price earnings ratio, things like that, which actually, if you go to the blackstockmarketprogram.com, that's all covered in the blackstockmarketprogram.com, right? But it's really a matter of knowing the characteristics of the company that you're investing in rather than giving you the ability to predict the direction of the stock price long term. It won't tell you which direction the stock is going to go, if it's going to go up or down, because there's theory that says that stocks are already perfectly priced pretty well based on the existing information. So the idea that you can do like a Scooby-Doo and do, solve a mystery that no one else has solved is just not probable, right? Because you have analysts that study the details of these companies all the time. That's their full-time job. So any information that you might extract, they've already unearthed that information. What the balance sheet might tell you is, if you look at like ratios of price to earnings, book to market, maybe certain cash flow ratios, is it might just tell you what the vulnerabilities of the company are. But even then, you can read an analyst report, and the analyst will break that down for you. They will say, "Oh, this company is doing really great, but if this happens, it's going to go bad. But if that happens, it's going to be great." Every company has that. Every company has um, you know, okay. Here's the bull perspective. The bull perspective, the optimistic point of view is, if this happens and that happens, then things will be great. But there's always the bear perspective, because that's the way risk operates. Risk is not all the way up or all the way down. Risk is everything that can occur, and it's difficult to capture that, in one price, right? But so I don't suggest trying to do all of that. I suggest looking at what the analysts are saying, and then looking at the majority of the analysts, and that'll help you figure out which stocks you might want to add next. And then looking at the risk profile of the stock, and even Robinhood will tell you if it's a high risk, low risk, or medium risk stock. So if you're older, you might not want to invest in high risk assets, right? Older people shouldn't do that. And by the way, I don't know if you guys know about Black Experts Weekend that's happening next week, or this weekend, and it's being hosted by the Black Business School, and it's totally free. So you can feel free to join us. Blackexpertsweekend.com. That's the URL, and basically it's for anybody that wants to, basically have conversations about what it takes for you to make money from your skill. If you are a lawyer, doctor, teacher, housewife, whatever, plumber, a motivational speaker, etc. There's a process for building your brand, monetizing, building your client base. If you're a coach, consultant, teaching an online class, online teaching is massive. That's a multi-billion-dollar industry. That's why you have people that were in, places like Black Enterprise saying they made over $1 million teaching online classes. Well, that's because these might have been individuals who realized, wait a minute, I've been a real estate agent all these years. I could teach people real estate, and kind of making that conversion, and then finding people that you can help. And I love it, because that actually allows you to monetize in a way where you're actually taking money away from these expensive, overpriced universities that are leaving people in debt, and you're actually pulling that into the Black community. So I'm a big fan of it. So if you want to come to Black Experts Weekend, Al Duncan will be there. Al Duncan, he's made millions and millions of dollars as a public speaker. We have a lot of experts. If you go to blackexpertsweekend.com, you'll see a long list of people who all already are making money doing what they're doing. And again, this is sponsored by the Black Business School. It's totally free. So you can go to blackexpertsweekend.com. So feel free to go to blackexpertsweekend.com. We start promptly Saturday morning at 9 a.m. and I'll give the opening address, but then I'm going to let the crew kind of handle it. I'll come in and I'll do a keynote though. And because I've made some money, not just online, but actually investing as well. So I know a little bit about that. I don't brag about money though. That's one thing I warn you guys about. Don't ever go around bragging about how much money you have, because all it does is it just makes people do weird things. All right, so let's see here. What have been your most lucrative trading strategies? Ask Pamela. Buy and hold. Like, I buy stuff and I just hold it. Like I did that with crypto, and I made a lot of money with crypto. Maybe digging into reversals and being consistent. Consistency is really important. So they call that dollar cost averaging. So whenever the prices go down, I just buy more. When the prices go up, I buy more. And that makes it simple. That's better than trying to guess. Like, I hate guesswork. They call that market timing. And market timing, if you ever want to make yourself insane, start trying to time the stock market every day. It's going to overwhelm your life. So instead, I just do the same thing all the time, no matter what, and just figure out, okay, I'd like to be in this industry or that industry or own that type of business. And I just, because you're going to waste your money anyway. People waste money on all kinds of stupid stuff. Why not waste your money on, well, not waste it, but why not put your money into something that's going to build your future? That's my 2 cents. Do you think SpaceX is a good long-term investment? I don't know. I don't know about the pricing of it, but I love Elon Musk. I love what he's trying to do. And remember, you don't have to invest just for the money, just to make money. You can invest because you just think that what they're doing is great. You can invest because you want to support what they're doing. So I support that. I support SpaceX. I like the idea of trying to go to Mars. Most rich people don't do anything good for the world except sit around and exploit the universe, right? Some of them, not all of them, but some of them. Whereas I like the fact that Bezos and Musk are trying to go to Mars. I think that's good for humanity. Let's see here. Linda, hey, Dr. Boyce, how would an African-American school system in America work with the worldview of accreditation? Or would you say accreditation is not necessary for us? You know what? When people ask me all the time, is the Black Business School accredited? And I say, we don't seek accreditation. We give accreditation. We are an accrediting body, because there's no way you can convince me that white supremacist organizations have the capability of providing any form of relevant accreditation to institutions that are designed for the sole task of elevating the Black community, closing the wealth gap, educating Black children. They don't know how to do that very well. They're terrible at it. That's why your community's gone backwards, because the education they've been giving you for free in the public school system has been absolute garbage in many cases. It's an indoctrination process that gives you what I call preparations for slavery, not reparations for slavery, preparations for slavery. Where they prepare you, they say, okay, we're going to make you better. And the way we're going to make you better is making you just like us. And you're going to be just like us so that you can fit into our system. And we've got a place for you. And the place for you is not one so much that's designed to empower you. It's one that's designed to actually help us at the end of the day. No different from the way they might treat, undocumented immigrants, right? Like we'll make a place for you. We love you here because you actually are the ones who afford us, help us maintain the lifestyle to which we become accustomed. Because capitalism, the way it works is, and this has been true for 1,000 years. The way capitalism kind of works is that you have that elite class, that that 10% that lives really well off of the labor of the other 90%. So you can't train everybody to become part of the elite class. That wouldn't work, right? Because everybody's trying to ride the horse carriage, but nobody wants to be the horse. You train some people to take pride in being the horse. You train some people to, you give them, little awards or whatever, or validations to make them feel proud of being the horse. Like, look at us. Look, Black people saved the Democratic Party. Look at us. Look at what we did. And so ultimately, that's the capitalism in a nutshell. It's a horse and jockey type system. Like, for example, the landowners and the property owners are the jockeys. The people that pay rent are the horses, right? You're literally buying a house for your landlord when you pay rent. I have a condo that I own where the rent is $1,700 a month. The mortgage is $780 a month. The assessments are $600 a month. So we pay $1,600 a month approximately in assessments and all that stuff. And we receive $1,700 a month in mortgage or in rent. So boom, that person that's living in that apartment, I didn't make her do it. I didn't force her to do it. She's paying the mortgage on that place for us. And we get the capital gains, right? There's no whites only sign on that process. But it's about what you were exposed to, in terms of knowing how to play the game in the right way. So effectively, what I would say is, I don't really think Black schools should be trying to get accreditation from white people. What makes them special? I mean, they've been epic failures at educating Black people. So why would you want accreditation from people who suck at what they do? That's my 2 cents. They're very good at educating white people. So I think they should keep doing that. And if I ever want to educate white people, I'll seek their accreditation. But I don't want to educate white people. I want to educate my people. And I think I'm one of the best, most qualified people in the world to give those accreditations. There you go. All right. Moving on. Let's see. Pamela says, I missed the Bumble IPO at 23. Is it a good buy at a higher price? I know nothing about Bumble. Pam, I'm so sorry. I wish I could tell you. I have no idea. I'm not big on IPOs, so I hate IPOs. Most of them are overpriced. Carl, I downloaded the Robinhood app a month ago. They haven't opened my account yet. Any ideas? What's up? That's a little bit strange. I don't know. You might want to Google that. Hit up customer support. They do have customer support. But really what I would do is look at another app because it sounds like something's going on with that. Shanika, sharing out MJ, which is a cannabis ETF. Oh, ETFMG, Alternative Harvest ETF. Okay. ETFMG, which is Alternative Harvest ETF. Isaac says, Crenshaw says, good job, Dr. Boyce. So thank you very much. I appreciate that. So there we go. There's an ETF I know nothing about this cannabis ETF, but that's one that Shanika likes, and Shanikra, and I hope that you make $1 trillion on that investment. Myra, so help me understand, 5G is not a ticker symbol in itself, but it is the top companies that house 5G. Yeah, I don't know of a company with a ticker 5G. Maybe I'm wrong, But when I saw 5G, I'm thinking about companies that are in 5G that are going to benefit from 5G. Roosevelt, will the weekend event be rebroadcast or available for replay? Yes, but the replay is not free though. The replay is not free. If you want to see it free, you got to come live, but the replay doesn't cost much. And the thing is, it's like anything else. If you take it seriously and you really take in the information and you really apply it, it's going to make a difference. And the thing is, I found that a lot of times that one little thing that you learn from somebody who really knows what they're doing can be the big difference maker. Like everything you do doesn't have to work. Most of what you do might fail. But what I found is that there's this one thing where it's like, okay, that was the one thing that helped me turn the corner, helped me get over the hump, right? And a lot of times you have a choice in deciding what that one thing is going to be. One piece of advice I would share with you is I have seen a lot of really smart people fail miserably because they're trying a little bit of everything, right? It's like somebody who's, looking for love in all the wrong places. Like they're looking for a lasting relationship, so they date everybody, right? Like, and then if something ain't working, they got to cut that person off, because how am I going to go date everybody if I'm focused on you? When really maybe the solution might have been, instead of looking for something that was 100% perfect and dating everybody, maybe you find that thing that's 70% perfect and say, okay, now I'm going to go ahead and double in or focus and zoom in on this one thing and make that my one thing, right? And then at that point, because a lot of times if you take that one thing that's halfway decent and you put everything into it, it can become pretty decent. Like, the question is, do you want to have 10% of something that's perfect, or do you want to have 100% of something that's slightly imperfect, right? I would say 100% of imperfection is what allows you to excel. Like, so if you measure opportunities, like let's say something's level 10, right? Like this is actually what's made for you. This is really what's going to take you to that next level. But you only give it 10% of your time. But then you have something else that's level 7. Maybe it's good for you, but it's not perfect for you. But you're going to double down on it. You're putting all your time into this. Well, if you put 100% into 7, 100% of 7 is 7. 10% of 10 is 1. So you're going to go into the 10 thinking that that's a failure, and the 7 thinking that that's a success, when really the determining factor was you. Put everything down and pick something. Like, whether you're talking about love or money or anything, like, with a woman, like, pick, okay, that's your woman. Okay, everything goes into her. Like, I'm not looking at plan B. Like, when I look at Alicia, and sometimes it's scary to do that, because you're like, man, if I put all my energy into this, what if this doesn't work? What about all the opportunities I might have missed or whatever? Like, we do that with love, we do that with money, we do that with everything. But it's like, no, this is the choice I made. I'm going to go 100% with this. Everything I have is going to be poured into this, right? And I think the same thing is true with picking the thing you want to do. I had somebody that told me she went to a Marshawn Evans event. Marshawn Evans is a really smart lady who does something called Godfidence. And this lady, I know her. She's really smart. She's a lawyer, and she paid the events were expensive. I think thousands of dollars or something, and which is fine. I mean, if you benefit from it, I think it's great. And I told her, I said, I know Marshawn, and you're kind of the same as her in terms of intelligence. She's like, Marshawn's very smart, and you're very smart. Maybe you might even be a little smarter. I don't know. I'm not judging. But I'll say this. Marshawn does one thing. She sticks to that one thing. She builds that one brand, and she builds it consistently. Whereas with you, I see you jumping from thing to thing to thing to thing to thing. So if you're trying to do everything, then you get nothing done, right? So don't leave little pieces of yourself everywhere. Pick that one thing and make that everything. And so if the Black Experts Weekend, if you want to make that your one thing, like if you're thinking, gosh, I want to build my brand, I want to make my content, I want to start my class, I want to build my coaching consulting, whatever it is you want to become a public speaker, then decide when you come to the Black Experts Weekend that's going to be your thing. Like, I'm going to dig deep in this rabbit hole and get everything I can out of this and give it a chance. Because a lot of people don't succeed at something because they didn't give it a chance. And when you don't, you fail, and you're like, oh, I tried it, it didn't work. Well, sometimes it doesn't work because we don't go all the way to the finish line. So whatever you pick, go to the finish line. That's literally the best advice I can give you, because that's what I do in my own life. Like, I do stupid stuff all the time, but you'll notice if I do something stupid, I won't usually do it once. I'll do it like 58,000 times. And eventually you have to beat me upside the head with a stick to help me realize, okay, this isn't the thing for you to be doing, Boyce. But because I've decided that's going to be the thing I'm doing, I'm going to just go all the way with it. So there we go. That's my 2 cents. I hope that helps. I didn't mean to go on that tangent. Okay, Roosevelt. Okay, he already answered your question, Roosevelt. Okay. All right, so let me see here. Victor, Ripple announced yesterday that they have developed a private ledger for banks to run digital currencies. All banks will be linked to Ripple using XRP. Interesting. Very interesting, Victor. I hope that you're right. I own a lot of XRP. I didn't sell it. XRP is under scrutiny from the Securities and Exchange Commission. Everybody's afraid they're going to lose all their money in their XRP, including me, but I'm not scared. It's just, I hate it. And that's good information. It looks like they're still moving. Hopefully it'll work out. Antoinette, do you use a wallet for your coin on your Coinbase? Is it safe to leave it there? Experts will say that it's not perfectly safe. I will say that I just don't care. I'm happy with Coinbase. I have assets there. I have assets in other places. One type of diversification you can do is putting your currency in different exchanges. Or in your cash too. I put my cash in different places because if I have all my money in one app, what if that one company, what if something crazy happens and they just say, "Oh, your balance is $0"? Well, that wouldn't be a very good day, right? So I have different apps, different places you put your money. That's all diversification is not putting all your eggs in one basket. So you could, keep your crypto in a separate wallet that's disconnected from the internet, but then you have another risk that if you lose your keys, you're done. The money's gone. So just kind of keep that in mind. All right, so let's see here. Victor says, Brother Boyce, thank you for your course. This course is well worth the money. Good. I want you guys to know that in the Black Wealth Bootcamp, you can always log in at blackwealthbootcamp.com and you have lifetime access. So that means that when you hear me announce that I'm doing another live bootcamp, which I'll probably do later on this year, you can always come into that bootcamp too. And in every Black Wealth Bootcamp, I teach something different, or I teach in a different way because I'm evolving. I'm changing my thinking all the time. I'm coming up with insights every day, right? Because I obsess over this, and that means that every time I teach it, I never teach it the same each time because things evolve and my perception evolves, right? So you have lifetime access, and you can bring your family members. Like, feel free to rip us off. Like, just let your little cousin in, whatever you want to do, because I want to make it worthwhile for you. Okay. Can you name the ETF Cannabis? The lady said, I didn't catch it. Oh, Myra, I'm so sorry. Whoever mentioned that Cannabis ETF, can you put it in the chat so that Myra can get it? Because I don't remember it, Myra. My memory is pretty bad on stuff like that. Dwayne Jackson, Dr. Boyce, I'd like to ask you a unique question. Okay, so Dwayne, that is a great question. That is so long. If everybody could make the questions like 2 sentences, 1 or 2 sentences, that would be good. But I'm going to scan through the questions. Very long. It says, these days, the U.S. is in a violent state. The Trump administration has brought latent hate out in the open. The real tragedy is that many people, including white women, black men, and Latinos, are willingly vote for Donald Trump. Okay, could you and your colleagues at the Black Business School offer a history course on the scope on economics and the stock market in Germany and during World War II for our protection? Okay, well, first off, I'll say that, the Black Business School, and it's not just me, it's a lot of other people, right? But we try not to be overly political. Like, I get political sometimes. I was very political during the last election because I just voted for black people. I'm not into Democrat, Republican stuff. I don't think that works. But, in terms of teaching classes that are, just directly political, the closest we get to that is Dr. Claude Anderson. And if you want to see that masterclass, you can go to powernomicsmasterclass.com. We did a whole full masterclass together, and he broke down a whole bunch of history, but it mostly related to black folks. In terms of teaching, economics in the stock market in Germany and World War II, that might be beyond the scope of what we do, but I get your point. And the one thing I did have my students do was have them read a book called How the Jews Invented Hollywood. And I like that book because it explains how a multi-trillion-dollar industry was built from the ground up by people who were in a pretty tough economic situation. Like how the Warner Brothers started Warner Brothers Studios with, by selling the family horse, literally. And now Warner Brothers is incredibly powerful. I don't know if y'all know this, but the reason that I know the guy who was on A Different World. His name's Daryl Bell. He played Ron, Dwayne Wayne's best friend. And Daryl and I are very good friends, and I love Daryl. And he's coming to the Black Business School, and I'm gonna have him come back. And Daryl, one thing Daryl revealed to me is that A Different World has never come back because Warner Brothers doesn't want it to come back. They don't care. They're like, we own it. We've shelved it. We're not going to release it. We're not going to redo it. So just whatever, right? And a lot of Black people are offended by that. But that's what happens. That's the risk you take when you fall in love with something that you don't actually own. And then I was very surprised to find out that Ice Cube has a hashtag out called Free Friday, basically where he's trying to get Warner Brothers to allow him to make another sequel of the Friday series. Now I don't know, Ice Cube's my friend, and I can't, and I would never speak ill of him because I have so much respect for him. But I was really surprised to find out that Friday wasn't completely, totally his. But then again, those deals in Hollywood are complex, right? So maybe they have some distribution deal or something. I don't know. I mean, if he wants to ever come in, maybe he can talk about it. But I just kind of feel like you can learn from what the Jewish community did by building Hollywood. They built Hollywood because they said, if we don't own our own media, we can't protect ourselves because people can say whatever they want about us and we can't control that. So if we control the media, not only do we get to control how you view us, we get to control how everyone views you. So they went from being protective of their interests to actually infringing on the interests of other people, right? Pushing their own agendas on people. Y'all know what I'm talking about. And the other thing was the economic power play is that community. Very few communities understand more than the Jewish community the importance of economic power. They did that because they didn't have opportunities. Nobody would hire Jews. Nobody would want to go to school with Jews. They couldn't join the country clubs, all that. So they had to build their country clubs. They had to build their businesses. They built their own schools. And also they understood that if they control the wealth, then they can have the influence and the power to kind of do whatever they want. So they train their children on wealth at an early age. Not every Jewish person does this. The Jewish community is very diverse. If you actually, I was talking to Alicia about it this morning when we were on our morning, actually, where we were running, it's afternoon, whatever. So we're running, and I was telling her about how you had a conflict between conservative parts of the Jewish community and more liberal Jewish community, the liberal Jewish community. So the liberals were into like liberal stuff, drugs, LGBT type stuff, communism, and the conservatives didn't like a lot of that. So you have McCarthyism where they were trying to call out the communists. So a lot of the Jewish community, they were snitching on their own people. They were like, yeah, he's a communist, right? So long story short, this whole idea that everybody's super unified and we're not, that's just not true. Every community has divisions that are similar to ours. And so a lot of times it's a matter of just working with who you need to work with to get things done. But then knowing who you really roll with, so for me, I don't roll with the super hyper liberal side of the Black community. I don't roll with the people that are into Democratic Party politics and Black Lives Matter, the agenda, or integration and all this other stuff. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate them. That's just not me. I'm more into Black nationalism. Like I identify very clearly with building our own, educating our own kids, holding down the fort, owning assets, having true economic power, not having to beg white people for anything, and showing up and sitting at the table with everyone, with the world as an equal partner. Not as somebody begging you to like me or to accept me. I don't care if you offer me the job. I want to control the job. I want to create these jobs, right? So that's but that's an ideology. Everybody has different perspective. But again, I'm not here to put the Jewish community on the pedestal or to defame them or anything like that. I'm just here to say that you can learn from these things. So the book is called How the Jews Invented Hollywood. You may want to take a look at it. It's a good book. It's very long, but it's good. Kevin, what do you see as the industries most likely to bounce back with the stimulus and the vaccines? Airlines, cruise lines, hotels, casinos. Those are the top 4 that come to mind. Linda Bolton, the Zyx Institute in Brooklyn is teaching youth and pre-college students about STEM, science, English, math, health, self-defense, class, hygiene, and they are not government funded. They are the best thing that's happened to Brownsville. Okay, that's awesome. Send can you write down this email, or Carmelita, can you type it in the chat for Linda? Can you if you know somebody there, or maybe you can send their information to producer@flynubianmedia.com. That's producer@flynubianmedia.com. Maybe we could have them on the platform, or I can at least mention something about the school. It's spelled Zyx, Xyayx. And it looks pretty good. And I definitely am a believer in Black-owned schools. Alicia and I actually have a foundation, the Boyce and Alicia Watkins Foundation. And all we're funding are independent Black-owned schools. We're not funding like college scholarships at expensive white universities. We're funding independent Black-owned schools, period. Myra, what is XRP? XRP is a type of crypto created by Ripple Labs, and it's right now XRP is under investigation by the SEC for alleged violations of securities laws. Linda Bolton, please ask the homeschool teacher of the Black school what she thinks about the Ziax Institute. You mean Nomalanga Mushali Moses? Okay, sure. I can send her a link. Yeah, her Nomalanga's URL is theblackHomeschoolGuide.com. The Black Homeschool Guide.com. So that might be helpful to those of you that are seeking support and solutions on how to homeschool kids. Pamela, I have a mutual fund with Ariel. Is this a good fund? Yeah, Ariel's good. It depends on which fund you have and what year it is, but Ariel Capital is known pretty well. I think Ariel's run by a Black man, actually, John Rogers. I like John. He's a nice guy. Victor, move your crypto to a hard wallet, Nano Ledger. Okay, so that's Victor's advice. All right. Joseph, do you have a list of Black-owned financial institutions that you utilize? We have a deal. We're working something out with One United Bank. I'm actually participating in something with them this summer, and then in terms of other institutions besides One United, that's pretty much the depth of it. The guy that created the app Kitty Credit, I had a meeting with him today. His name is Evan, and Kitty Credit is created by a Black man. It's an app for your kids to help them build credit scores with household chores and things like that. And that's pretty much the base of it. All right, so let me see here. Moving on. Crystal Turner, I have plans for opening a private practice and wellness spa. Is this the Crystal Turner I know? I think I know a Crystal Turner. Are you Crystal Freddy's wife? I have plans of opening a private practice and wellness spa. I have been involved in Airbnb business with cousin and friend. I'm not passionate about it, but want to benefit from investing in it. Thoughts? If you want to get into something that you're not passionate about, make sure you're real clear about who's going to actually run the business, right? So you can actually. I'm not a big fan of investing in things that you're not passionate about if it's going to require a lot of your time, because remember that you can't get your time back, you can't get your life back. And so if you spend all your time and all your life doing something that you hate, you're giving up something that money can't buy. That's why that whole trade, that whole 100,000 hour trade I was talking about the other day, I don't know if you guys saw this, but it was like an epiphany. I thought about this and I said, gosh, we got to stop telling our kids to go have careers. Like, tell them to find a calling, a purpose, or a passion, and then teach them how to monetize that, how to make enough money to free themselves to pursue their passion, right? Like buy their freedom, basically. Buy their freedom. Just like on the plantation, you bought your freedom so you don't have to spend all your time doing work for massa. You can spend time doing things that you actually want to do. Well, in America, in capitalism, you have to buy your freedom. So that might mean making $3,000 to $5,000 a month. That's really all you need. Somewhere else, so that you are free to pursue the things you really want to pursue. And so, we, even as a business owner, a lot of people will go into business in an area just because there's money there. And then next thing you know, you're spending 10 hours a day doing some crap that you don't even want to do. And I just kind of think that's like an empty existence. So there might be better ways to skin that cat. So sometimes in a business, you can be a passive investor. Like if I run into I only have a couple businesses I work on actively as a passion. The rest of them, I say, look, I don't have any time. I'm not going to come to meetings. I'm not going to do anything. This is what I am willing to do, and this is how much money I'm willing to put up. So when Boyce isn't there, his money's there, though. His money's there, so I'm a partner in terms of money. If I can write a check, that's fine, because maybe I have a little more money than time. But I'm not going to show up and do the actual work, so make sure somebody else is doing that. So, like, I own property, but I insist on having a property manager. I am not going to be a landlord. That is not something that I want to do. That's not a passion of mine. So make sure you process that and figure out what it's going to cost for you to be free to really live the life that you're supposed to live. Andre Smith, what is the best platform to purchase and own cryptocurrency? Since cryptocurrency is not affiliated with the American government, are you obligated to report it on your taxes? Yes, you have to pay taxes on any income that you make. Do not avoid your taxes on your crypto. I'm not here to tell you which platforms are the best. Coinbase is going public. A lot of people love Coinbase, but I'm not saying use Coinbase because a lot of experts, a lot of crypto enthusiasts don't like Coinbase as much. I don't mind it because I don't mind paying a little extra in fees in order to have convenience. There's another one I use called Bittrex, Bittrex. That's pretty good. So those are the two that I use. There's another one, Binance, Binance. I can't validate the quality of it. So you may want to do a search on the best crypto platforms. That might help you. Three ETFs for cannabis are MSOS, YOLO, and PotX. There we go. Thank you, Junius or Junius. Starts with a J. Galaxy, like the Jews, we must build our own and control our own. As Dr. Clark said, if we didn't wear a pair of shoes we didn't make, then that would revolutionize our culture. Yes, I agree. We should, basically learn how to make things, right? Like really, if you think about it, like just building a better black man in our households, building a better black woman. It starts, in my view, with values, because you tend to put energy into the things that matter to you. Like, you ever see somebody that's like really, where they really value what they look like they really value dressing sharp or having their hair done, having their makeup right. People that have that value, they tend to do it right. They tend to dress well. They tend to have their hair done because they won't go outside without their hair being done, right? Or a guy or a woman, everybody who values like a sport, like a basketball player who values basketball, he's going to be good at it because he's got his basketball with him all the time. He's always thinking about basketball. So a person that values the black community is going to have the black community at the front of their consciousness all the time. Everything they do is going to be targeted to benefit the community. So the idea of building a better black child in general starts with shaping values to make sure, like, whatever you do, whatever you put your time into, we want blackness to be at the forefront of your thinking. That's what we do with our kids, right? And then as they sort of develop their passion, we then make sure that they have a few basics, like that they're very well educated. We want thinkers in the house, so we encourage critical thinking. Also, work ethic is very important, obviously, and then ownership is really important. So you process this. Think about this. So you are a person who has a strong black identity, who is very well trained to with knowledge and thinking skill, and you're working extremely hard, and you're owning the things that you're putting energy into. Well, you're going to be a powerhouse. You're going to be a force. You're going to be the unstoppable force, and you're going to go through all the immovable objects. Like because white supremacy is not an immovable object. You can dodge it. You can get away from it, right? White supremacy, unfortunately, though, is a trap. You get pulled into the trap. Like, if I pull you in and I say, no, I don't want you to have a strong black identity. I want you to really have a white identity. I want you to be a white supremacist. I don't want you to value where you are and where you're from. I want you to value where I'm from. And I want you to believe that you will only be a better person if you come across town and come hang out with me. That's the first step. Second step is, do I want you to be educated? No, I don't want you to be educated. I want to keep you as dumb as possible. We will underfund your schools. We'll make sure that you're being fed ignorance on a regular basis. We're going to, market to you rappers who can't even spell their mother's names because we need you to be stupid, right? Because smart people don't work very well in the white supremacist system because they're going to see the exploitation. We want you to be blind, deaf, dumb, and distracted. And then, do we want you to work hard? No, we don't want you to be a hardworking, ambitious person, at least when it comes to the accumulation of power. We only want you to work hard when you're working hard for us. Now, I want you to think about all the times you saw growing up, black kids that were trained where they wouldn't work hard in school, like they go like in college, won't work hard, to get ready for their tests, don't want to work hard to build a business, but when they go to work every day on a job, will work 8 to 10 hours a day on a job. So when the white guy tells them to go to work, like, boy, you better show up at 9 o'clock, they're on time. Boy, you better work a whole 10 hours today. They work a whole 10 hours. But when you pull that person in another space and you say, let's spend 10 hours studying for this math test, they're going to think you're crazy. Or let's spend 10 hours working on building our business. A lot of people won't do that, but they'll spend 10 hours working hard for someone else because that's a specific type of training. If you read Black Labor, White Wealth, Dr. Claude Anderson gives you the entire breakdown of exactly how they trained the slaves, because they said we want them to, it's like a dog. You want the dog to be ferocious, but only when it's serving the master. You don't want the dog to ever be ferocious toward the master. So you target that ferociousness. And then the last piece of that, what was that? Ownership, right? If you go through most college curriculums, including many HBCUs, there's almost no training or conversation about ownership or literally like building and developing industry. Most of the conversation is on getting a job working for an established company in an established industry. That is a huge mistake, and but that fits the mission of these institutions. They were built to create employees. They were not built to create more captains of industry. Those are the things you have to learn on your own, right? So ultimately, dealing with white supremacy requires, moving away from those systems, overriding those systems, and going off that sort of beaten path in order to establish the control that you actually need in order to be free and successful. All right. So did my audio go off? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Let me know if you can hear me okay. Let me see. Let me check the chat. Okay, I'm seeing a lot of yeses. Okay, so my audio's still there. All right, good. Okay. All right. So